Welcome back, folks. Another week, another LNG main event, and you may be looking at the title saying this feels familiar, and it is in some ways, right? We've got the Von Erichs, we're back in All Japan, but man, after doing just a little bit of digging, shoot, it feels like we're entering a whole new world today. Nonetheless, how are you, Dave, pal?
Doing great. We're back at home with the Von Erich boys. You know I'm happy.
Feels different though, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We've learned some things in researching this match that we did not know. Neither of us knew.
So the match here, folks, as you've seen the title, it is Kevin and David, the Von Erichs, up against Tenryu and Tsuruta, who become famed rivals. Now, I'm not an expert on the timeline here, but I know that this is 81. So, in a decade, they're in like the middle of a big feud, which would kind of shape All Japan in a kind of inverted way, and it's in a strange way because Tenryu leaves. But we'll get into that as the match goes. But when you sent this to me with the year 81, I was like perplexed at this existing. I feel like in my mind, 81 is before the Von Erichs are like a thing to me, even though I know that's not the case. Tenryu is probably 3 or 4 years in. Jumbo's the veteran at like a 7-year pro. This is like a fire pro matchup shit. This is kind of crazy to look at on paper, isn't it?
Yeah, Kevin's 5 years in, I think. David's 4. So just diving into what you were just talking about. So in my mind anyway, and I think like I was under the impression that they were kind of like a storied All Japan team, and we've come to find out that this is their second to last match either of them had as a team or as singles in All Japan. 1981, they never go back. David goes back, but he doesn't end up wrestling a match. When Kevin finally goes back, it's for New Japan. So this is their last second. They work the next night. This is the Super Power Tour. I hope I got that right. Super Power Series Tour. This is near the end of the tour. Kevin and David are actually the All Asia Tag Team Champions here. They had won the titles earlier in the tour. This match is not for the titles. This is at the time all championship matches for that belt. Maybe in All Japan altogether. I'm not certain, but we're 2 out of 3 falls match. This is a single fall match, so it's not for the belts. It doesn't even look like they have title belts from the still image we're looking at here.
It does not, no.
But from my familiarity with World Class, that is not uncommon in this era.
Right. Well, that feels relevant, and let's get into it a little bit because part of the perception of them being a regular in All Japan, unfortunately, it is through like David's demise. It's very seldom mentioned when people talk about him passing in Japan that he hadn't been in 3 years. It's more like, and look, I'm not saying it needs to be a major detail of the story. I'm aware. What I'm getting at is it's kind of framed like he would regularly go.
Yeah, I just assumed that. Yeah.
So that's part of it, but also, shoot, you appeared to be suggesting to me that maybe sometimes on World Class TV they would, bend the truth regarding the accomplishments of the young Von Erich boys. Is that what you're saying?
What I've pieced together is that in 1982, they definitely say that the Von Erichs had been in Japan and won these same belts. So they did legitimately win here. They're legitimately the champions here.
Yes.
As best I can tell, they didn't even go to Japan and they did not win the titles again, but they're just billed as champions. So, yeah, that's, I don't know what, I guess they just took a couple weeks off and they decided to say they went to Japan. So, yeah, there's a long gap that I was not aware of between the Von Erichs going to Japan. Now they actually become somewhat regular in New Japan. Kerry and Kevin. Obviously, unfortunately, David has passed at that time. Kerry defends the NWA championship over there a couple times. Kevin, neither of them do anything insane over there. Like they're not. Right. It's not like they become. I certainly had like the impression that they were big stars over there, and I don't think that was actually the case. That was just the lore.
They did their job on the TV. Then that means, right? So
yeah, exactly. This is my favorite team of the Von Erich boys. Yeah, is these two together. So
should be a good time. I mean, they've got an incredible pair of opponents, right? Doing a little bit of research, I just said this to you then. They went up against Jumbo and Bubba in '79.
Okay.
Which is another like bonkers this is an insane matchup for even more reasons that we don't need to get into here. But again, we'll kind of we'll flesh this out a little bit as we go. It is worth noting, folks, not only are we not experts, of all the matches we've done, this may be the least I'm assured of in terms of what awaits us. This could be, like, what is it, 16 nights into the tour, did you say?
Yeah, this is right at the end of the tour.
This could be something, folks, because remember, this is their last tour as a team. This last tour, again, wrestling anyway for both guys. So
I will say, though, there is the factor in that not long after this is when World Class heats up.
So there's no reason to kind of,
Yeah, so it may just be, well, we can't afford to send them over there. I would actually love to know if, like, All Japan didn't want them back, or
might find out in a minute.
Yeah, Fritz was not sending them over there because the territory was on fire.
I would assume it was the territory being on fire. It is worth noting, you said Kerry did go back, right?
Kerry goes back, yeah, but not immediate. Actually, no, I can't remember. But yeah, I think Kerry goes back.
All right, well, folks, the link is below this very video you're watching now. Again, the Von Erichs, Tenryu Tsuruta. Yes, that is really the match. I know, crazy. 1981, we're about to get into it. Shoot, if you can do the honors for when we hit the time here. We're going to hit play on this one in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. I'm excited to see what this looks like. I've seen a lot more young Jumbo than I have Tenryu, but I mean, at this point, he's the veteran of the match. He's 7 years in. As you can tell by the building, this is not one of the more glamorous occasions for All Japan. It's a night on the tour, is what it is.
Yeah, about 2,500 people here, which doesn't even look at that from the camera.
It doesn't. It's not the most generous hard camera, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's a cool looking building though, but it's
absolutely
definitely not a spectacle.
Like in era, all of the above. This is not the time people imagine when they think of like classic All Japan. Just visually, doesn't mean it won't be good. It's just a lot of us are guilty of kind of thinking All Japan as that one era forever. And it's like it went through a lot of different changes, and Bubba evolved a lot as a booker and such too, which is saying that he rightly gets a lot of credit for. He's one of the more kind of open bookers. He changed his style a lot in response to the industry changes. Look at this. Incredible presentation with the idea that they're the champs here. I fear that could be a spoiler in terms of a no finish, but we'll find out. But
you would have no idea they were. Well, of course, we can't understand the announcers, but you would have no idea they were. Yeah. Although
no belts.
Were the all Asian titles the top titles for them? Didn't they have?
This is what I was intrigued by, because their belts, this is like the before, like Triple Crown.
Yeah, so it may have still been their top belt. Yeah.
So I'm not sure, because the All Asians they're still there. I think they've never changed those tag belts.
They still have the All Asia belts, but they're like secondary belts now.
Okay.
They have an All Asia heavyweight champion and a tag title, but it's like secondary. It's not.
Because then their sanctioning body was like the
PWF, Pacific Wrestling Federation. Yeah.
There you go.
So this may not be their top tag titles.
Yeah. Which would make sense based on the fact there are no belts present.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by like how over these guys feel, because obviously, clearly we're not aware of how over the Von Erichs ever were or weren't in All Japan.
Yeah.
But their opponents, Tenryu and Tsuruta, obviously become two of the great stars in Japanese wrestling for this era. So
this is the second to last match of the night, so it's not a prelim.
Mm-hmm.
The main event is incredibly Ricky Steamboat versus Jimmy Snuka.
Wow.
Yeah.
An incredible matchup.
So we've talked, David is the best of the three. Kevin's my favorite of the three, but David is the best. He's got he's so tall.
His frame is very unusual, especially for that particular time in wrestling. It's fair to say, right? It's very interesting to look back in that regard. Like their popularity is so at odds with the general perception of how wrestlers were supposed to look then. It's always been intriguing to me.
That's my favorite camera angle, that from the corner there.
Yeah, so as I was talking about earlier, while they kind of warm up here, hopefully build to a frenzy, we shall see. Um, the famed like pillars era of All Japan is kind of led into by the Tenryu Tsuruta program, where it feels like Tenryu is kind of up next. Um, that's not the right way of phrase, but he's like that's kind of the big back and forth at the top of the promotion, and then Tenryu departs, and there's basically a vacancy, and that's why Misawa is like a made man.
Yeah.
He beats through because basically they need to make up the difference for his departure. Is really the best way to explain it. So
Tenryu goes to, was it the SWS thing, or is
yeah,
that
and then he
right?
does wrestling and romance, right? And
Yeah.
he's the Oracle of Wrestling's favorite, Tenryu.
I did
Maybe
not
his
know that,
favorite
actually.
Japanese wrestler ever.
Yeah.
I like that every episode we do of LNG Main Event, Oracle gets like
Of course.
a fleeting, respectful reference.
Yeah, we're watching historical wrestling. So
there you go,
we
folks.
reference the Oracle of Wrestling.
Absolutely. You
So
do
we're
not get the
definitely.
sense that the crowd is molten hot for this one. Confirm shoot.
Do we know what the crowds were like in this era of All Japan?
Well,
Because they're definitely doing like the polite applause when they're supposed to and stuff like, which is kind of the impression I always had of Japanese crowds, which is I'm learning is not correct.
definitely it's like the Western perception. You're right.
Yeah.
There is a chance you're right. It's more indicative of the era, but it does also, thus far, we're very early days here, but thus far it does very much feel like kind of steady match at the end of the tour, and we'll see if it changes from that.
And it's definitely like, you can tell, like looking at the crowd, that they're like intently watching, but they're quietly intently watching.
Yes.
Of course, This is a different era. You can't sit and look at your phone. And if you're going to the matches, you're going to watch the matches, because what else are you going to do?
Von Erichs here, going to work a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe play like kind of the de facto.
I was wondering if they're like the heels or the baby faces here.
They're not. They're a lot more stoic than I'm personally used to.
Yeah.
Now, that could partly be that this is before I've seen them, frankly, because this is 81. Because, a lot of time I've seen is when they're at the peak of their powers and they feel like the hottest act in the world. So I'd imagine that would change your energy levels. So they're a lot more, I wouldn't say they're coming across heelish, but they're not as quite as, bullish, energetic, so on and so forth.
David, when they did that axe handle off the top and he was getting held in the headlock, David did he was actually really fighting to get out. I love little stuff like that. Oh
my goodness.
We got a little clip there, I guess. Did not expect that.
With the video's runtime, that is fascinating because, again, folks, not spoiling anything for you here. If you pulled up the video, you'll know this is about 20 minutes long.
Goodness. That's the runtime on the match, too, so we must not have missed much.
I missed direct shoot.
Yeah.
Bad communication on the Von Erich's part. Thus far, the kind of momentum is swinging back and forth. Every time you think one team's in control, they lose it.
Yep.
It'll be interesting how long that's the case.
Oh
my God. That was quite the feed from young Kevin there, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That kick out.
That's the stuff that they like, the desperation,
yeah.
Of course, there's always the Kevin where you're not 100% sure that he realizes it's a work.
Respect.
Yeah. That's like I've talked a lot, if you're familiar with us, about the differences between best and favorite. I know Kevin Von Erich's not the best wrestler of all time. He's not even in the conversation, but he's my favorite wrestler of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in there being a difference. I know a lot of people, that's like a debate, but for me personally, I honestly think there's a clear difference.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the time with your favorites, you're fully aware of their limitations. That's part of being, having them as your favorites in some way.
My absolute favorite wrestlers are almost never top guys.
Yeah.
It's almost like once they reach the top, I still love them, but they're not my favorite anymore. Like now I got to start over and I got to.
Yeah, I get that totally. It appears that I just mentioned the momentum swing. I'm intrigued if that's going to shift back. It may do here.
God.
Yeah. Back body
He
drop.
reversed that with both hands.
Yeah.
That's the little, like I've told you this before. If you ask me why Kevin Von Erich's my favorite wrestler, I really can't tell you exactly. I just know it when I see it. There's just little things he does that.
For the claw, brother.
There's the claw. It's just a sum of all these little things he does that.
See, that was interesting there because he signaled it to the people, and they didn't react to it like they were like super clued in, did they?
No, there was a bit of a gasp though.
Yeah, you're right.
But it wasn't like wasn't a massive. Kind of like maybe some people were familiar, but not all of them.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I say it is because like if they didn't work it that regularly,
yeah,
it takes a while for the way their kind of TV works now. I don't want to talk like I'm certain of where it worked then, but it takes a while of just familiarity for the whole country to kind of get aware.
Right.
Wrestlers would often talk about how that looks great. I don't know where this match is at, but wrestlers would often talk about how like certain cities, like if you go to Tokyo, they're a lot more clued in than if you go to like some of the smaller places where they're not paying as much attention, you know?
I can't remember the name of the building, but I had never heard of it, which not saying much, but it's definitely not like one of the famous.
It doesn't look like that, no. I must say. My goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're heels, but they're working with some edge here, aren't they? Good Lord.
They can throw some punches, man. Oh, and David could David sells.
David's the worker, as you said, right? I mean,
they're very good. Kevin and David. Kerry, I don't want to overestimate that Kerry was bad, but I don't see him as a worker on the same level as these two.
No, he was the body. He was the kind of star power element of the way he looked, right?
They were so good at making everything feel desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like in trouble desperate, just like we're in a fight.
In fight, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fight. Survival,
like, look at this.
Yeah.
And here, we're going to get a...
It definitely is. They've definitely settled into some control here, right? Absolutely so. It's wild to me that Steamboat and Snooker closed this show. I'm kind of stunned by that, I have to say. Things are broken down here.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about I love the Von Erichs, and even I was kind of with you. Like, I don't know what we're about to get. It's definitely very different than anything else we've watched so far, but
it feels like
we're starting to get there now.
It feels like kind of one of those lost matches rather than a lot of the stuff we've done is like signature matches.
Yeah.
But this stuff's honestly in some ways more interesting rather than going into it watching through the lens of, is this going to be as great as I'm told it is?
This is slowly what this program is going to become too, as we start to run out of the.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not certain of this, but I don't think this match has like much reputation online.
So, it has one review on Cage Match.
Oh, that rules.
No rating, or not enough ratings to have a number, but one review. My
God, did you see Eric grab the claw then?
Yep.
Oh, so, that was incredible.
I know I've said this before on this platform, but I love the Von Erichs, and I think the stomach claw is so stupid. It's like the perfect example of it's one that upsets me when people talk about it used to be more realistic. But at the same time, it definitely works. Yeah. Maybe not so much here as in Texas, but yeah, I'm not a fan of this spot at all.
It made more sense earlier when Kevin did it because the idea was he blocked the head.
Yeah, so then he went to the stomach. Yeah.
David there just like grabbed his stomach.
I'm pretty sure they've finished guys with the stomach claw before.
That rules.
Yeah.
That absolutely rules. They're definitely, again, I don't want to call it heels because often that's misplaced in this kind of wrestling setting anyway, but they've taken control here, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And, we're kind of building to the match's kind of senior party is going to eventually.
The crowd just cheered for that breakup, so.
Yeah. Here we go. I'm intrigued because, result of this, I feel confident there's not going to be a result here, but I'm so thrown off by the uncertainty I now have of the presence the Von Erichs have. They may just lose.
Yeah.
Because this not being for the belt makes it even weirder to me, I guess what I'm getting at is the one thing I'm pretty bullish on unless this is even earlier in Tenryu's run than I'm realizing, because I could be wrong on that. If so, maybe they just pin Tenryu.
Yeah.
But I was pretty sure they were not going to beat Tenryu or Tsuruta, so I was kind of like, this will be interesting from a kind of political maneuvering point of view, you know? Because there's something.
I'm being very careful here because I know the result.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I didn't intentionally find the result, but yeah.
When we do these all-star tags from All Japan, that's just something to kind of be ready for, you know? I mean, all old wrestling be ready for no finish, but a lot of those ones that look like video game matchups get they get a very kind of unsatisfying conclusion in a lot of occasions.
It wouldn't be the first, well, I guess kind of a finish, but not the first no finish we've had on Late Night Main Event.
I mean,
like we've talked about, it's way more accepted at this time than it is now.
Yeah, a few months back when we did the Terry Funk Grin Grappler, we did that famous match with Sheik and Abby. And they've done that match like 6 times. That's the first one that has a finish. Did it every year in the tag league with a DQ of some kind. You go, look at that.
Yeah, that's what Kevin was.
Best flying wrestler right there, brother. Look at him go.
He's ahead of his time here.
Definitely,
you don't want to overstate it versus what we're used to seeing now, but through the lens of the time, it's quite something.
It's again one of those things that's like more impressive with context than it is just as
right.
I mean, it looked cool as it is, but if you watch this whole show, I'd imagine that will pop you more.
Right.
We talked about it recently with a couple episodes ago, right? With Ted and Savage. Like that match feels like a higher pace, but if you watch the whole card, I'd imagine you'll be much more appreciative of the pace they work. It's like
exactly.
This, he's got the hooks in, shoot. My goodness. He's trying to work some sort of choke.
Yeah. And see, I love this is what I'm talking, the little things he does that make, because we've definitely seen wrestlers who would just lay there. Like he's doing that, like he's squeezing his legs occasionally and like, look at that. See,
oh my God. They did like, my goodness.
He would absolutely just try shit that maybe he couldn't even do. But that's part of the appeal for me. Because, well, here's the thing.
Blocked it again.
And this is kind of the struggle that sometimes you can have with wrestling. Honestly, every move shouldn't look perfect.
No.
If everything looks perfect, then it's not a fight. But
I think you need to have a certain level of audience investment to make that. If you will go out there and work a cold match nowadays and you mess stuff up, like you're dead.
Oh yeah, you're done. But it's like what happened there. I don't even know what he was trying to do there.
It ruled though.
But it felt like he was just trying to get out of the situation.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
But now, if you saw it now, it would get clipped and be on Twitter and be like, "What the hell's this?"
Then, like, this is, last week we did a classic tag, and at the end we were talking about structure of tag matches, right? Like, this is pretty familiar in terms of how they've laid. I mean, they got control there. They teased like a hot tag. My goodness, he's clawed the stomach again.
Yeah,
they did it as a catch spot, like it was a high knee or something.
That one, and look at Kevin, basically selling the hold out there.
They've teased 2 like de facto hot tags and just immediately cut them off again.
Yep. It's one thing you definitely notice with the Von Erich tags, and even when they're baby faces, they tag a lot.
Yeah.
It's not, they don't do the structure where one guy's in there for a long time.
Look at
yeah.
Look at the close up.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it still feels more realistic because of presentation, but
yeah, you can definitely get carried away with that stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man,
great! I love back body drop.
Yeah, again, we have to be careful with this show. We don't want to make it, LNG. It used to be better.
Oh yeah, I love modern wrestling.
Where did the back body drop go though?
Yeah. And the worst part about the back body drop is they still tease it, but nobody ever does it.
No, that is actually, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife gets actively upset at that because she doesn't really know what they're trying to do because they never actually do it.
She's just seen wrestlers for 10 years just do this.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of brutal. That needs to be remedied. If that's saying that even Mrs. Shooter's mentioned. That's not good, not good at all.
Every time it happens, she talks about how stupid it is.
My goodness. Did you see that? Just Shoot dropped him down?
Yeah.
Oh, brother, I think Tenryu was like, man, fucking cut off again. Great punch there. Oh.
So this is, like I said, this is a very different feel from the stuff we've watched before.
Yeah.
But it feels like more like we're watching a showcase of wrestling than like a heated match.
Like an exhibition.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like an exhibition. I mean, it's still good.
It's worked with intent, though. I almost think it's in some ways an example of the crowd thing we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah, like if you put this same match in the Sportatorium,
yeah,
obviously the crowd react. I mean, they'd be rooting for the other team, but like
you'd flip the structure. But yeah, the idea. Even if you did it in if it was like a hot, Japanese crowd and they were really rooting for the momentum to shift a minute ago,
right?
Because to me, they're kind of just. This match is very much just like kind of filling gaps in,
That's my favorite, David. David does that all the time. Where the Von Erich, one of the he's choking him. Okay, there's your answer because he's choking him with the tag rope right now.
Yeah, they've kind of been more and more that way, honestly.
One of the staples of the Von Erich character on TV and probably them in real life, honestly, is their temper. And so you definitely even when they're baby faces, when David gets mad, he'll just come in the ring and start fighting. He doesn't care.
Yeah, they seem like pretty unpredictable fellas. Shoot, would be my double drop kick. Oh. Fist is threatening to break down.
Oh yeah. Okay, they're definitely the heels here.
Oh, great bomb over the top.
David pointed the ref out so that he would go.
I thought we were going to do a DQ there, but I think we're about to get a real finish.
Ooh.
Well, that looked tremendous. It could be. There it is. Yeah. Wow. That was something, man. That was like big end of tour energy on that one,
So the fascinating thing here is the match went 2012. We had a short clip there, but I think we probably got 18 minutes of action there. No joke, Joe. I thought we were like 7 minutes into this match.
Yeah, it was strange, and what they did wasn't you couldn't call it terribly thrilling or anything, but it felt like in some ways, in terms of ideas, they were just getting into the match, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was an interesting match vibe-wise, wasn't it?
Very much so. That was definitely not any kind of classic or anything, but
no, it was well executed and well worked. It was like it didn't. I guess what I would say is it didn't feel like they had much. There was no real substance beyond this. Just go and have a match,
right?
And kind of let the pieces fall where they may. The Von Erichs were the kind of de facto antagonists, but not enough to make it really heated.
Yeah.
Interesting match. What's your immediate response?
I mean, obviously, I've got an investment level in the Von Erichs that you don't have, and probably a lot of the people watching this don't have. So I genuinely love that match. It's probably the 6th best match we've watched of the 6 episodes. But I really I had no idea we were 20 minutes in, which
it went quick.
Yeah, really that didn't feel like I thought we were just getting started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was paced nicely for sure. I think part of that, there's a positive in there that it was it went quick, but I also would say partly the finish ran away because it didn't feel like it escalated enough to get to the finish.
But that, like you said too, that's just a match on the tour. It's not like they were this was a rivalry or something they built to, or
no, it wasn't like a very particularly inspired, this really go out there and rock them. It was a nice match. The crowd was mostly respectful, and it was it felt like the right match for the right crowd in the sense that they wasn't expecting it to be anything kind of
right
spectacular. They wasn't invested to that degree anyway by what you could, again, maybe that was just that crowd that night. I don't know, but they certainly just seemed to be an exhibition is the term I would go back to for that one.
Yeah.
I think that's the right way to kind of sum up. It is interesting. Where, as best you know, where is World Class at the time of that match? How is it doing? Is it
genuinely,
really down?
I really don't know that well because I'm really get familiar in 82. I get these. I don't think it's doing that great at all. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think they're struggling, but there's no,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have any momentum or anything. I don't believe at that time.
So interesting to think about the years that are ahead, you know, in every
It
which
literally
way.
it starts in '82. Like you start to see the production change, and then the Freebirds come in, and then they do the big angle, and everything takes off. But at the same time, like again, like I said, I don't think that they were struggling or anything.
Right.
It's just not 82, late 82, and then into 83 is when they really.
Yeah.
Big part of it is they change their production. They become more TV oriented, and it just becomes a very different time.
Super interesting. It's one of those matches that you're glad happened because it's a really cool piece of history. It's like a collector's item. And again, it's not like a classic, but it's a nice match with, you know, 4 very different careers. Because even within the Von Erichs, very, very different. And again, the big takeaway for me is I just think it's wild. That's that's their second to last, that's their penultimate night on an All Japan tour, you know, wrestling on an All Japan tour.
This here was kind of a glimpse into, like I said earlier, what this show's really going to become as we start to run out of like the famous stuff to do. And obviously, like eventually we'll dive into some more modern stuff, but for a while here, I don't think we're going to go any later than like 95.
Right.
That's going to be the cutoff for quite a while. So, but eventually we'll probably dive into some stuff.
There's a lot of these All Japan tags. I've referenced this before on a range of shows, but like these really weird combinations, you know. So there's such a treasure trove of just matches that happened at some point in All Japan rings that you kind of go, wait, what?
We're
This was
definitely
one
going to
of
do.
those, so.
Even though we've both seen it, we're going to do the Hansen and Brody against Bockwinkel and Harley match.
Yeah,
we got to do that episode.
I agree totally. Hansen, brother, I'm down for any Hansen.
Yeah.
You know, that a couple of episodes ago. All right. Any final thoughts on the match itself, Shoot? Or are we?
No, this was like I said, not a blowaway match, but genuinely fun. Yeah,
a good time for sure. And it was fun. I enjoyed seeing. Again, I've seen more Jumbo. I don't know how much Tenryu I've seen before, like 85, 86 range. So it was kind of interesting to me. He felt like a clean slate in there, honestly. It was interesting to watch. So there you go, folks. If you would like early access to the audio for this very show, you can get that at latenightgrin.com for just $1. You can sign up. You get this show on the Wednesday before it drops on Saturday. You get the audio for it, that is. You get audio for all of our other shows, a podcast feed that updates about every 4 hours at this point. You also get the Late Night Grin itself every Thursday night at 9 Eastern. You get the Burt, 10 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday through Friday. So a whole lot over there. We encourage you, if you enjoy this, we think you're going to enjoy a lot of stuff behind the paywall. If you did like this and you don't fancy paywall, even still, if you give us a thumbs up and subscribe and all that good stuff, that'd be very much appreciated. Shoot, any final plugs or promotions? Or are we ready to wrap up another main event, pal?
No, this has been we're doing well here. We got something going here. Yeah.
So eventually, I'm telling you, we're going to hit the wall at some point. You're going to make a mistake somewhere here. But so far, you're leading us in a good direction. You know?
Let's be clear though. When that happens, it'll be funny and it'll probably be good content.
It'll be the best episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will go from us being polite about it to like, oh, actually, no, this sucks, which will be a thing. So I look forward to perhaps. I'm not sure how many times soon, but maybe eventually. Folks, we hope you enjoyed this. Again, latenightgrin.com, just $1 gets you everything over there. We'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, enjoy this outro. All hail.